Everyone believed he had murdered his own mother, but I found the truth. Everyone said Adam Hart was dangerous, that he and his dad killed his mom, that I'd be next if I got too close. But I never believed in monsters, not until I started looking for the truth and found a town hiding more than one. I never had many friends growing up. Maybe I was too quiet, maybe I read too much, or maybe it was just because I didn't care about sports or TikTok like everyone else at school. Whatever the reason, lunch periods were just long, awkward stretches of pretending to scroll through my phone so no one would see I had no one to talk to. That was until Adam showed up. He transferred in the middle of the semester. No announcement, no assembly. Just walked into homeroom one morning with the guidance counselor by his side and a silence heavy enough to crush the air. Pale, tall, messy brown hair with a backpack that looked like it had been through a war. Mrs. Green said his name was Adam Hart. And no one said a single word to him after that. Not a single one. Even in a school where cliques ruled everything, this was different. People didn't just ignore him, they moved away from him, gave him wide, suspicious looks. Girls whispered. A couple guys made jokes too quiet for him to hear, but I caught them. Don't sit too close, might snap your neck. That's how I found out about the rumors. Apparently Adam's mom died last year. Blunt force trauma. Everyone said Adam and his dad were the only ones home when it happened, and that neither of them had an alibi. The police couldn't prove anything, but that was enough for a town like ours. In small towns, a rumor doesn't need facts to become law. My mom heard it too. You're not to go near him, she said one night without me even asking. That boy is dangerous, Kyle. I don't care how lonely you feel, you stay away. But I couldn't help it. I saw him sitting alone in the cafeteria every day, picking at food he never finished. I saw him walk home by himself, shoulders hunched like he was bracing for punches that never came. I saw myself. So on Friday, I did something stupid. I sat with him. He looked up at me like I'd pulled a knife. What are you doing? He asked, his voice low but calm. I dunno, I said, setting down my tray. You looked like you hated eating alone. I'm used to it. Well, maybe you don't have to be. That was all I said, and I didn't expect him to respond, but he did. Just nodded once, then went back to eating, but slower, like maybe he wasn't in such a rush to get it over with. The rest of the cafeteria stared at us like we were doing something illegal. Later that day, a note was stuffed in my locker. Stay away from the psycho, before you end up like his mom. Things changed fast after I sat with Adam. People didn't bully me before, they mostly just ignored me. But now it was open season. At lunch, my usual table was mysteriously reserved. Even the teachers started treating me weird, like I'd caught something contagious. Mom noticed the bruises before I could hide them. What happened to your arm? She asked while I was getting a glass of water. Jim, dodgeball. She gave me a look that told me she didn't believe it. This about that boy again? It's not his fault. She sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. You need to stop talking to him, Kyle. I'm serious. You don't know what he's capable of. His mother. How do we know he killed her? I snapped before I could stop myself. She froze, then her voice got sharp. Don't talk back to me. This isn't a debate. I've lived in this town my whole life. I knew his mother. She was sweet, gentle, and now she's dead. Do you really think it's just some big misunderstanding? I mean, maybe, I muttered. She shook her head, more sad than angry. You're a good kid, Kyle, but you're naive. Sometimes people are just broken. Dangerous, you need to stop pretending otherwise. But I couldn't, because the more I got to know Adam, the more none of it made sense. He wasn't violent, wasn't angry. If anything, he was too calm, like someone constantly walking through a minefield, afraid to breathe too loud. He read books, doodled in his notebook when no one was watching. He always offered me the seat that gave me the best view of the cafeteria doors, like he was used to looking over his shoulder. I asked him once why he didn't just transfer schools. He shrugged. We don't have the money. What about your dad? Doesn't he want to move somewhere fresh? That was the first time I saw a flicker of emotion on Adam's face. Not anger, something closer to guilt. He's trying, it's complicated. The bullying got worse after that. It was Wednesday when 3 of the football guys cornered me in the back hallway after last period. I had just pulled my backpack out of my locker when I felt a shove against my back. Hey, freak, one of them said. Got a minute? I turned around slowly. It was Derek, Matt, and Evan, classic small-town golden boys. Their Letterman jackets practically screamed Daddy's lawyer. I don't want trouble, I said, backing up. Oh, we don't want trouble either, Derek grinned. We just want to talk about your new boyfriend. Yeah, Evan chimed in, grabbing my bag. What's it like sitting next to a murderer every day? I yanked the bag back, but Matt pushed me against the lockers. You think you're cool for being different, siding with the school freak? Matt turned to check his surroundings and saw Adam. Adam just stood there with an unreadable expression. Everyone went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Evan broke first. Dude, come on, let's go. They slowly started inching away, then left while muttering curses. I stayed frozen, heart pounding. He helped me up and made sure I was okay before he left. That night, I looked up everything I could about Adam's mom. Her name was Claire Hart. She was found in the kitchen of their old house, collapsed near the table, head trauma, no signs of forced entry. The report said she fell, but the town decided she was pushed. No charges were ever filed. But then I found something interesting, a newspaper clipping from 3 months before her death. It was about her restraining order against a man named Gregory Miles, not Adam's dad, just some guy from town, no other details. Why had no one ever mentioned that? The next morning I asked Adam about it. At first he went quiet, then he said, "My mom had a stalker." Gregory Miles, he nodded slowly. She filed a restraining order, but he didn't stop. My dad called the police 6 times, they never did anything. What happened to him? Adam hesitated. He disappeared. Disappeared the week after my mom died, I swallowed. You think he had something to do with it? I don't know, but the cops never looked into him, they just looked at us. And suddenly everything made sense, the fear, the way Adam's dad kept to himself. The shame, they weren't hiding guilt, they were hiding pain because no one believed them. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept circling back to that name, Gregory Miles. I thought about how the news barely mentioned him, how no one in town ever brought him up. All the hate had been dumped on Adam and his dad, while the guy who may have actually done something just vanished, and no one cared. The next morning at breakfast, I stared into my cereal. I wanted to tell Mom what I'd found, but I knew how that would go. Instead, I said, "What do you remember about Adam's mom?" Mom was pouring coffee. "Claire, she was nice, soft-spoken, taught piano, I think." "Why?" "Do you remember a guy named Gregory Miles?" She froze. "What did you just say?" "Gregory Miles. She filed a restraining order against him before she died." Mom slowly set down her mug. "Where did you hear that?" "Online, it's in the paper." She sat down across from me, suddenly serious. "That man was obsessed with her, everyone knew it. He'd show up to her lessons, leave flowers, follow her around town. She told people he gave her the creeps." "Did you ever meet him?" "Once. At the grocery store. He was odd, the kind of guy who smiles too long, like he's trying to mimic how humans act." "Do you think he hurt her?" Mom hesitated. "I don't know, but I always thought that was weird how he disappeared right after she died." "So why does everyone blame Adam and his dad?" She looked away. "Because grief makes people lazy and scared. Blaming them was easier, safer. He was the husband, Adam was the weird kid. It fit a story people already wanted to believe." "Do you believe it?" She didn't answer. That silence said more than words. I had to talk to Adam's dad. The next afternoon, I biked over to their place. I almost turned around 3 times before knocking on the door. Adam answered. He looked surprised and a little nervous. "Hey, I need to talk to your dad, please." He stared at me for a long second, then stepped aside. The house was quiet, dim, furniture covered in blankets. The living room felt like it hadn't been used in years. Adam led me to the back where his dad was sitting in a worn recliner flipping through an old photo album. He looked up when we walked in. "Mr. Hart," I said. He nodded once. "You're Kyle." I glanced at Adam, who gave a tiny nod of encouragement. "I wanted to ask you about something from before your wife passed." His shoulders tensed slightly. "It's about Gregory Miles." The change in his expression was immediate, like I'd flipped a switch. He didn't look angry, he looked haunted. "What about him?" "I found the restraining order and the timing, and I think people were wrong about what happened." He stared at me for a moment, then leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "That man tormented my wife for a year," he said, voice low. "He sent letters, broke into our mailbox, followed her car. I called the police. They shrugged it off, said he was lonely." His jaw tightened. "The day she died, she told me she thought someone had been watching the house. That she heard something outside the kitchen window. I told her to call me if anything happened while I was at work." His eyes were glassy now. "But when I got home, she was on the floor, blood on the linoleum. The back door was unlocked, and the police said she must have tripped." "She didn't trip," Adam said quietly. His father nodded. "I tried to fight it, but you know this town, they didn't want to hear about Gregory. They wanted closure. Blaming me gave them that." I was quiet for a long time. Then I asked, "Do you still have any of the letters he sent?" He stood up slowly, walked to a filing cabinet in the corner, and pulled out a folder. Inside were envelopes, dozens, all addressed in the same scratchy handwriting, some postmarked, some left without postage. One had a dried flower taped to the paper. I picked up the top one. The letter inside read, "Claire, I saw you at the store today. You looked so beautiful in that green dress. You always wear green when you're thinking of me, don't you? One day soon you'll see I was always meant for you." It was terrifying. "This is enough," I said. "This proves he was unstable, that he had motive. You should show someone." Adam's dad shook his head. "We did, they didn't care." "They might now," I said. "Things are different, I know people. We could go to the school board, maybe local media." He put a hand on my shoulder. "I appreciate what you're trying to do, but exposing the truth, it won't change the past. It won't bring her back. But it could change how people treat you, treat Adam." He didn't say anything, but I knew what I had to do. That night I made a decision. I scanned the letters, uploaded the police reports, compiled everything I could into a folder, and then I posted it online anonymously at first. Reddit, a local Facebook group, even the town's historical society page. Within hours, people started talking. The comments were a flood of shock and guilt. Wait, I never knew about this stalker guy. Why wasn't this in the news? I remember that guy. He used to sit in the front row of every community concert. Total creep. I feel sick. Did we blame the wrong people? Someone even found an old photo of Gregory Miles at a town event, standing off to the side near a playground. Creepy smile and everything. The next day at school, things felt different. No one said anything to me directly, but I caught people glancing my way, quick, uncertain looks. Few kids whispered to each other when I passed. It wasn't hostile like before, just quieter, curious. When Adam walked into the first period, a couple of people actually looked surprised to see him. Nobody said a word, but no one muttered psycho or murderer under their breath either. Adam didn't smile, but I saw his shoulders relax just a little. For the first time, people looked at him like a person, and that was something. For the first time in weeks, things felt lighter. Adam started sitting with me at lunch. He didn't talk much, but he didn't have to. People left him alone. Some even tried to talk to him, not just to mock, but to genuinely apologize. Not everyone, of course. There were still kids who gave us dirty looks, adults who crossed the street when Mr. Hart walked by. But now there was doubt, there was talk, and talk leads to truth. The biggest shift happened at home. One night after dinner, Mom came and sat beside me on the couch. She was holding something, an old photo of me in kindergarten, grinning with my arm around a red-faced kid with a cast on his arm. "Do you remember this?" she asked. I blinked. "Yeah, that was the day I pushed you to let me invite an old bully of mine to my birthday. He'd broken his arm trying to climb the monkey bars." She nodded. "And you became inseparable until he moved," she replied. "You've always had this stubborn kindness. It's one of the things I love most about you." She went quiet for a moment. "I was wrong," she said. "About Adam, about his dad, about everything. I let fear make up the story I wanted to believe instead of the one that was true." I looked at her, surprised. "What changed your mind?" She held up her phone. It was open to the Reddit post I'd made, the one with the scanned letters and police documents. The comment section had exploded since I last checked it. "I didn't know about any of this," she said quietly. "I just believed what I heard, and I'm sorry." There was something else in her eyes, not just guilt, fear. "There's something I haven't told you," she added. "It's about Gregory Miles." She told me a story from years ago before Claire died. One night, Mom had been working late at the library alone. Just as she was locking up, a man approached her from the shadows near the dumpster, tall, pale, smiling too wide. "I remember he asked if I knew Claire Hart," Mom said, rubbing her arms. "He said they were friends. That she talked about me. I told him no, and he got strange, said something like, 'She always said librarians were liars.'" She got in her car and drove off, shaking. She reported it the next day. The police brushed it off. That man, she now realized, had been Gregory Miles. "Why didn't you ever tell me that?" I asked. She looked ashamed. "Because I didn't connect it until now. I just pushed it away, like the rest of the town did." I didn't say anything. But I think she could tell I understood. We were all guilty of turning our heads. A week later, everything changed again. I was walking home from school when a black car pulled up alongside me. The man who stepped out was dressed in plain clothes but carried himself like a cop. He flashed a badge. "Are you Kyle Sanders?" "Yeah, I'm Detective Mahoney, Cold Case Division. Mind if we talk for a minute?" At the station, he explained that my post, yes, my Reddit post, had gotten attention. A retired officer had seen it, recognized the name Gregory Miles, and reached out. "We reopened the file last year, but nothing stuck. No evidence, no leads. Then we saw the letters you uploaded. We think you're onto something, kid, but we need something from you." "What can I do?" I asked. "Get us the physical copies of the letters. We might be able to scan them for fingerprints." I felt my heart beat faster as he spoke. "I'll get them right away," I said before taking off. About an hour later, I had returned with the letters, accompanied by Adam and his dad. They took the letters to the back and checked them for prints, and before we knew it, they had a match. Gregory Miles had been living under a different name for over a decade. In a nearby town, the detective ordered for a unit to be sent out, and we were sent home. The next morning, I received a call from Detective Mahoney. They caught him. "You're saying he's in custody?" I asked, bewildered. Mahoney replied, "Yup." Talking, a lot. News broke within 24 hours. Gregory Miles confesses to killing local woman in 2012. The article was everywhere, on Facebook, the local paper, even regional news stations picked it up. For the first time in years, the Hart name was cleared. People we hadn't seen in ages dropped off casseroles, apology letters. One woman left flowers on their porch with a note that just said, "I'm sorry for being a coward." Adam and his dad didn't say much publicly. But they didn't have to. You could see it in the way Mr. Hart stood straighter, the way Adam walked down the hall like he wasn't trying to shrink anymore. And as for me, I just felt whole. A few days later, Adam and I were sitting in the backyard. It was chilly but clear. He was tossing a baseball in the air, catching it with one hand. "You know," he said finally, "I always knew he did it." "Gregory?" "Yeah, my mom told me about him." She said if anything ever happened to her, it was probably him. I looked at him. Why didn't you say anything? I was 12, nobody listened. We were quiet for a bit, then I asked, what do you want to do now? Now that everyone finally knows the truth, he shrugged. Not sure, I might try out for baseball again, I smiled. You'd probably crush it, he grinned, and for the first time his smile actually reached his eyes. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure to like and subscribe for more Reddit stories. Until next time.